Hey there, PoE enjoyers, Noobinator here, and I wanted to record a video about what my pre-league sort of housekeeping tasks are, what I usually like to do before the actual league starts. So that's usually stuff that I would do in the last week leading up to the new expansion drop. So we are in that league just running up to 3.24 PoE Necropolis League. We've pretty much we've got plenty of top 5, top 10 or whatever starter starter builds for the next league. Every PoE creator is releasing those types of videos. So I'm pretty sure that we have all more or less decided on our starting builds. I did go over the builds that I'm considering in the last video that I released, which was a few days ago, last week I believe. So if you want to check out what my top 5 or top 6 picks, or not so much top picks, but the builds that I'm considering league starting, and since I will be starting in hardcore SSF, I probably will have a chance to play all of them after dying on the previous ones. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So the point of today's video is not so much about what build you should choose, but I just wanted to maybe try and present to you my process of getting ready for the league. So we'll make the assumption that we've already chosen our build. We know that what we're going to be playing, or maybe we've got a few builds and we will decide on what we want to play. But we've got a pretty good idea about the archetypes that will be league starting. And from this, what I usually do is, because that would be the starting point of our thought process, I've got a short list that I'll bring up here. So in no particular order, there is a few things that I like to do. So we want to get a leveling filter to optimize our campaign run. So I'm not a great leveler. I do enjoy trying to become better at the leveling stage, and I in no way hate the leveling. A lot of people hate the campaign for some reason. I love it. I like the challenge of trying to improve your time every time, but I'm not super good. There is things that I lack in just general ability, and I don't like to feel so much on the clock when I'm leveling. And I know that personally I'm not good at manipulating my inventory while I'm moving. So these are things that always will add up to my time. But I think that every time you're trying to go through the campaign, there is bits and pieces that you are able to improve in whatever your skill level as a gamer is. So that is definitely one of the things that even if you're not a great gamer mechanically, as I'm not, that is something that you can focus on, pre-league start, get the filter ready, because the less stuff that you see on your screen, the less time we will be picking it up, you'll be identifying, because every time you identify something, you're not moving through the zone, you're not progressing. So in case, there is two things that you can do. If you're very new to the game, I would suggest that you pick a leveling filter done by some more advanced players, some players that are really experienced in leveling quickly, that this is what they do in the game, that's their niche. And I will suggest a couple. This is the ones that I use, or I have used in the past. So the first is, what you do is go to Google, type Tyty Killer PoE profile, or you can try Havoc 6 PoE profile. So what you do is you go to their profile. These two, I'm sure that most people are familiar with them, but if you're not, they are extremely good. A level guys that just speedrun the game, and they're incredibly fast. They're incredibly refined in their gearing, progression strategies. They know exactly at what point what is it that they need. So watching runs that these guys do will definitely help you to understand the principles, how you can become better. And although I'll probably never reach their times, you know, they usually go through the campaign for like, you know, 3-4 hours. It takes me like 8 hours would be good run for me. Uh, but you know, watching their runs is always quite educational, and you can also go to their profile and see what filters they do use. So as you can see, it's like generic leveling filter, so caster, melee, range, poison, concoction. All you need to do is follow their filters, and then when you are in game, let me just go to pathofexile. You go to options, game, item filter, and then their filters will appear in your drop down menu, so you can use those. And especially for people that are very new to pathofexile, and maybe you have already done a run, but you're not aware that you could use an item filter, and you're just using the standard filter that comes with, you know, in the game. You'd be shocked, you know, how much less stuff you'd be finding if you actually use a dedicated leveling filter, and that would definitely help you improve your time through the campaign, especially if you got previous experience in ARPGs type of games. Now, if you do have more experience, you've run somebody else's filter, you've got a good understanding what you're needing through your campaign run, you can go on to obviously PoE XIC or Filter Blades, and you can set up your own filter, and the section that you'd be focusing on would be in the below level 68 section, and you can set up, you know, whatever rules you feel like. For example, if you don't want to see any where is the option? So let's say, yeah, you can put in at what levels you see what types of gear. And for example, ruby rings and like single resistant rings, you don't want to actually see them after like level 16 or 20 or whatever. So you can turn them off from here. Same with like rare item types. Let's say you're doing a bow leveling run. You don't really want to see any melee weapons, do you? So you'd go in this section and you just turn them off, so you don't actually have to spend any time thinking about those items. You just don't see them, so you can tinker around, set up your filter, maybe do a trial run to see if you're seeing enough stuff or you're still seeing maybe too much stuff. You can tinker about it until you get it to the level of showing items that you want. Going back to this, so you can also preload your gearing filters. And what I mean by gearing filters is, in pathofexile, each item has got the ability, if it's a rare item, it can get up to 6 affixes, 3 prefixes and 3 suffixes. Generally, getting up to 3 good relevant affixes on an item for your build is pretty reasonable. It's pretty reasonable to identify something off the floor and you're like, perfect, you know, high life or and 2 good resist or 1 resist and empty suffix, perfect. Now, when you get to the point in your gearing progression that in each item slot that you can equip, you've got an item like that. They've all got at least 3 relevant affixes. Now, then you really need to start looking for 4 affix items. And 4 affix items, in my opinion, from playing the game for, you know, over probably 10 years at this point, close on 11, I would say, it's very difficult to find an item that has got more than 4 good relevant affixes on it by just identifying it off the floor, just because of the statistical probability of rolling 5 good mods that you want on a single item. So you need to get a filter which is quite more restrictive, I would say, maybe in terms of the bases that you're looking for. You don't want to get an upgrade with 4 affixes. That's just, I mean, when you're at the point when you've got three good affix items, then you want to be start picking up items to try and get 4 good affix in each slot. And then you can probably get another version of this filter where you're looking for the same items, but you turn off certain bases. Maybe you don't want evasion specific gear pieces, like armor pieces or whatever. You decide what the things that you don't want to pick up. Basically, you want to get an upgrade for like an item with 4 good mods to an item with 4 good mods, but that's also on a good base. So you start turning off, specific tier or of bases or specific let's say evasion type of bases, and you can decide on the details of what you're switching off depending on what build you're playing. And then I think after you get to this point, the 4 affix on good base level of gear, you just turn off all gear except for fracture bases and currency. And you'd greatly obviously reduce the range of currency that you're showing. So just to show you in my PoE profile, not PoE profile, but the filter blade profile, I've got basically 3 filters. And getting to playing the game like that is definitely something that has helped me improve the speed of progression that I do through the Atlas. Before I would, loot crab bases or stuff that doesn't realistically even have the chance of being an upgrade. So it's very important to understand that you can definitely start picking up less stuff when you're at a certain level of your gear progression. That would allow you to go through maps quicker, and because at the end of the day, PoE is a game of farming and a game of going through map mechanics as quickly as possible to farm some sort of access to like a boss encounter or whatever. That's the short of it. So you want to get to play in an efficient way. You don't want to be picking up too much stuff, and you need to understand the points where you can start turning off stuff on your filter. And I think that would greatly help you to improve your speed of PoE progression. So back to those filters. So you've got the leveling filter, which you usually just use through the campaign. Then at the end of the campaign, you usually tinker with your gear, and you want to get a more strict filter, going back to the moving along for like 3 affix item to a 4 affix item, and then 4th affix item on a good base. And then you'd move to your farming filter, which usually, again, when you switch really depends on how confident of a player you are. Because I've not done a lot of endgame content, and this will be, my end of league goal for Necropolis. I want to get to experience as much of the endgame bossing content. So maybe I will be taking more time in, that phase before switching to like farming. I will try and get better gear, which obviously takes farming more resources, more bases, etc. Forming more expedition, currency, etc. So probably for me, I would start using that towards the end of like my Atlas progression, or after I've gotten all my points on my Atlas. Of course, if you feel confident in what levels of gear you need, and you can probably progress using less gear, you can, swap into that level at an earlier point. And that is one of, the better you become at the game, the more knowledge you have, the quicker that transition, you can do that transition quicker. So after we've played with the filters, it's good to have them ready. And what you do is, obviously, filter blade gets updated on the day of the patch. So you save your filters, and then once that gets upgraded, not upgraded, but obviously once the website gets updated with the new stuff, you just load up your existing filters, then just go save, because once it gets updated, once you load up an old filter, it will add on all the new stuff, and that you just save them, and you're basically good to go and use them in game. Another thing which is pretty handy to do is setting up your tabs in the parent league. What that refers to is if you haven't, let me just jump into the game just to show you. I've not actually done it yet, so I still have to do it. But I'll do it outside of the video. I don't want to bump up the video time. But basically, you'd go to your stash, and that's your parent league. So let's say you want to play hardcore SSF. So you go to the standard hardcore SSF league, and you'd set up all your different tabs. Let's say you want to put them in a different order, you want to color them, you want to name them, you want to set up the affinities. So that's pretty good. So when you log into on like Clickstar Day, all this stuff is done. You don't have to lose like 5 minutes or whatever to be tinkering around with your tabs. So that's quick and easy, something that you can do, you know, on the day of launch or whatever. It just has to be before you actually log into the actual league. And another thing that's you could probably do, and that saves you time actually having to do it when you get into maps, because we've got the Atlas tree, and with this league we'd actually be getting the ability to set up to three different trees, which is quite cool. So instead of setting up your Atlas tree progression to the point where you're doing maps and then you're wasting time after each map, or which way do I go, do I want to take this or do I want to take that, what you can do is you can do that now. So I've put in a few different trees, and I've actually done just this one in more detail, because the other two trees, I've got the idea of what they should be, what like the underlying mechanics should be, but I've not actually come up with the exact trees. But I'll just go over quickly the ideas of what those trees should be able to accomplish. So I'll go into like my Atlas completion stage, and what I mean is just like when you're doing the actual first time getting the points from the Atlas. So I've broken down the tree into three different stages. So white maps, yellow maps, and red maps completion. So you got 36 for all the whites. Then when you are on the yellows, that goes to 69 points. Then if you do all your red maps, and that excludes any unique maps, you get up to 100 points. And the total is 132. So obviously you get additional points from like doing progression encounters and from doing unique maps. But I've basically my idea of how I'm gonna do my tree, and usually that's just a very solid way to start out in SSF, and pretty much most SSF players I think would use this type of tree at some point, at least during the league. So you'd go get like June stuff, continue to get more chance of monsters to drop in connected maps, so we get this stuff. At this point, I'll probably get the June stuff here so that we can bump up our chance to spawn June in maps, which is good for gearing early on, getting reveals on your crafting bench, and also potentially getting some good upgrades on your actual items. After we've done this, we're gonna go straight up here, go for commissioned officer. Now, I don't think that's been updated, but we don't gain the one additional Kirak mission each day. I think instead we get just the additional chance to grant an additional Kirak mission on completing a map, which is still useful, I think, at this stage of the game. And after this, we'll go down this way. get this, and now the essence, it's up to you. You can either prioritize the map stuff first, or you can actually open up with the essence. I'll probably open up with the essence so that although the essences would be, you know, lower tiers in white maps, it still gives you some essences that you can, you know, upgrade. So now this is your tree when you've completed all the white maps. At this point, I'll probably just straight go into yellow maps. I think I wouldn't need to like farm at this point. We'll just continue. Hopefully we'd have good enough gear from like identifying stuff off the ground. So we'll just continue straight into yellow maps. And this will be my yellow map progression. So we're gonna grab shaping the mountains and then shaping the sky, so we can get chance to get map that drop in a map to be one tier higher. Then we are going to add on the boxes, go up here to get the box stuff, this wheel here. This one, oh yeah, they've updated this. So the idea behind tamper proof is that strongbox in your maps become corrupted and at least rare, which is a good, it's got a chance to drop us a corrupted 6 link, which is good at this stage of the game. This will be probably your first 6 link. So we can use that mechanic at least until we get a corrupted 6 link. But also, obviously, the boxes do give you extra monsters, so that's good for early experience. After which we would get the rest of essence. What else? Yeah, so we'll get the rest of essence and we'll start branching out into other mechanics. I'll probably get the shrines. Get the rest of the box stuff. Get some more shrine stuff here. And then I'll start speccing into expedition. Get all the expedition stuff on the tree, and we can also get this wheel here. This wheel here, which gives us expedition monsters in your map spawn with an additional 20% of life missing, and the nodes that are leading up to it gives expedition detonation chains in your maps travel 5% slower. Basically, if our character is not strong enough to take on expedition as it is, we can like give us a little bit of like nerfed expedition, at least until we can handle it. Okay. I mean, these are points that we would eventually want to spec out of, but this would be pretty much my like the first tree that I'll be using for a while. Until I get gear, I complete my atlas. That will be probably it, to be honest. It just gives you extra monsters from the shrines and the boxes. We get extra stuff from the boxes, potentially 6 link corrupted. We are farming essences, we are farming expedition, so that just sets you up just to, oh yeah, and we're getting some scarab. Basically these points give you like an increased scarabs found in the maps, and this one gives final map boss in each map has 25% chance to drop an additional scarab. So yeah, this is probably what I'll start with. What I'm thinking about transitioning this tree in, again, very loosely, this may change, and the cool thing about the previous tree is that it's very interchangeable. You can decide what mechanics you're using, you want to be using, and then change the tree accordingly. So this is like the tree to get to your, like, let's say base level of end game gear. I would say you'll be able to get your high level bases from expedition, try to get currency from expedition. You get a lot of stuff from expedition, both in terms of currency, items, bases, etc. Obviously you'll be getting the essences to craft those bases with, and you'll be getting stuff out of the box as well, potentially scarabs and a corrupted 6 link. Now, At this point, you may decide that your gear is good enough, you can progress, and you can start actually maybe doing some bosses, or at least getting the access key to the bosses, because that's usually how you get to the boss encounters. There is some sort of like a key item, fragment, map, invitation, whatever. So at this point, I'm going to switch my tree to this. So basically, we are going to keep Betrayal and actually spec fully into Betrayal. At least I think. No, there is more stuff here. So yeah, spec fully into June missions. Because Expedition is actually pretty rewarding, and I don't think I've actually ever used the full Expedition tree. So I want to maybe use this league as a chance to explore, especially because they have reworked it recently. So it's a good time to actually relearn the mechanic and, you know, see how it feels in, you know, after you have completed your Atlas, how it feels to play it if you've pushed it into full investment on the Atlas tree. Additionally, we'll go for this increased quantity, and we'll go for all the bossing stuff here. Basically, my bosses have 100% increased chance of to drop a Conqueror map. Same here with Elder Guardian, Shaper Guardian. This is for synthesized maps, and we can actually get Maven stuff here as well. So the idea of this is we are just running, hopefully at this point of our character progression, we should be able to do tier 16, just, you know, farm mode. So that's why we are actually, because this stuff, the boss stuff, I believe it applies for like tier 14 over maps. So we'll be bouncing between, you know, 14, 15, 16, depending on what our map sustain would be. We'll be running those maps to farm those boss fragments that we'll be needing, and we also will be gaining progress towards Katarina, doing safe house, etc., and getting the rewards from that. So that's pretty basic tree, and I will see how useful it is. And bear in mind that you've also got another 40 points that you can invest into other mechanics. That's what I like about this tree. And obviously bear in mind that this is a very SSF focus tree, because we need to farm anything that we need and we want to equip on our character. We need to farm it. So at some point we may decide we want to unspec all the June stuff. We may decide that we want to get full harvest, or maybe we want to be getting stuff from Abyss. And probably if we are playing some other type of character, we definitely would be doing Abyss at least until we get our Duos and our Darkness Enthralled, which would be like the best installed belt for any summoner type. We may want to get, you know, some Legion Duos. This stuff is close by. Maybe we want to do some altar farming. And again, I want to be trying out different things. I want to actually try out different, you know, end game Atlas tree to see what feels good in SSF, what is rewarding. We can potentially maybe even go into into Delirium. Maybe we want to try to farm some duos, some cluster duos. Maybe we've been unlucky and we haven't got any of the ones we want. Especially for summoners, that is pretty huge. I mean, if you can get good duos, that is perfect. That is usually the end game of most summoners. But yeah, as I said, very interchangeable. And in SSF, you will be going through different iterations of the tree depending on what you want to get at this particular point. Maybe you've just got bored with the tree that you were doing for maybe a week and you want to swap to something else, maybe farm something else. But this should be probably like my first few weeks at least of the league. This is what I'll be doing the most. I will post those trees in the description of the video just in case you want to see them as a reference. But the thing to take away, especially if you are starting an SSF, just try, and especially when you are a newer player and you haven't, because you can see a million videos about the mechanic, but at least I don't really appreciate the mechanic until I've played it myself. I know how it feels. I know what I get out of it, and I can make my decision. Is it worth it? Is it not? Because again, that comes down to playstyle preference as well. Some people enjoy farming particular stuff. Some people don't. But yeah, if you want to see those trees, in terms of my filters, they are also public, so you can go on my profile, so Noobinator_TV, and you can follow them just in case you want to see what's my logic behind it. Because with filters, I think you just have to like, if you don't know how to use filter blade, just tinker with it, see the different options, see what you can influence, and start playing about with your own filters. I think this is really useful way to improve your game knowledge and to become, you know, better, and learn what bases are good, etc. Learn what recipes there are. I think that's pretty much it. Like, these are the things that I like to dedicate the last few days before the league. I've done most of them. Whatever I haven't, I probably will be doing on stream over on Twitch. .com underscore /Noobinator_TV, where I might be doing, I'm thinking about doing maybe a champion campaign run. I did want to try Caustic Arrow, Toxic Rain leveling into Bama or the Mirror Arrow, Blink Arrow build. I just wanted to see how it feels through the campaign, and I'm not 100% sure exactly what I'll be starting with. I did show you my POB folder. So we've got the Bama, Elementalist Ignite, Necro SRS Pops, Penance Brand, and lately the last thing that has piqued my interest was the Inquisitor Custom Critical DD that has been, you know, doing the rounds in the PoE community. I think it looks really cool, and I might actually give it a go. But yeah, come over to the stream. I will be, you know, just doing my last minute PoE prep, maybe doing last campaign run or two, and just chilling, you know, catching up on PoE content. Yeah, I hope to see you there, guys. And if you've got any questions, I've got a Discord. The link would be down in the description. If you can throw in a like or a comment, it would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, hope to see you on the stream. Take care. Bye-bye.